Repetition, the repetition of words or syntax, that is the order of words, for emphasis or persuasion. Repetition does matter, but it is an extremely easy technique to identify, so you should refer to it sparingly and always analyze it further. Never point out that repetition of a term emphasizes the term. Instead, think critically about what the repetition actually suggests. Rhyme. A rhyme is one of the most familiar techniques, and there is little to be said about it. Rhymes are often more of an organizing feature and used to please aesthetically rather than to create meaning. Be careful in attributing meaning to rhyme in verse. It usually doesn't mean anything. Satire. A satire is a composition which ridicules in a scornful and humorous way. In satire, common human behaviors, beliefs, and vices are held up to shame and scorn. Satire is often considered a high form of comedy. Sibilance. A sibilance is the repetition of soft consonant sounds, such as s sounds. This is often used to create a sinister or sensuous tone or mood. Simile. A simile functions in the same way as metaphors, but rather than identifying the tenor and vehicle, similes tend to make the comparison using like or as, while metaphors tend to use a form of the verb to be. Symbolism is when an object represents one or more, often complex, ideas. Symbolism is a very important technique, and in some texts, it is the central technique. A symbol is any visual object that by convention signifies something else, whether it be another object, an idea, a process, or an emotion. The letters of the alphabet are therefore symbols, in that they represent speech sounds. Numbers are symbols. Syntax means sentence structure. A syntax is one of the main components of language. It refers to the organization of words and phrases in a sentence, as well as their structural relations. Complex syntax is a marker of a high education. This could imply a narrative voice that is well educated. Simple syntax might be a marker of poor education, as might fragmented or incomplete syntax. Tense. Tenses can be present, past, or future, where events are predicted. This is an important and commonplace feature of grammar that students should be familiar. Tense is an important aspect of narrative form and can tell the audience when things are occurring. Tone. The tone is the way composer or character feels, conveyed by word choice. Tone is a very common technique and useful to discuss in your responses. There are many different ways to describe the tone of a text. Here is an extensive list of tones employed in texts. Word choice or diction. Examples are emotive, forceful, factual, descriptive, blunt, graphic, disturbing, informative, etc. For example, use of forceful verbs insist and demand can be very persuasive. Diction is a useful technique to discuss, especially if you are using it to convey information about the characterization of that person. Zoomorphism. A zoomorphism is the attribution of animal properties to non-animals. This technique is more common than many people expect.